at Lancaster House in central London, on the eve of the London Olympics, the UK government is hosting a grand event to welcome business leaders and politicians from across the globe. In the grounds, a fashion show is underway. But amongst the glamorous models are some intruders. These interlopers are on the catwalk, not because of their looks, but because they belong to the China Entrepreneur Club, an extraordinary and exclusive group open only to leading members of China's business elite. What's happened in China over the past 30 years is truly astonishing. They've created a private business sector from scratch, and the leaders here are closely connected through organisations like the China Entrepreneur Club. I'm Steve Tappin, the first Westerner to gain personal access to this extraordinary group of Chinese entrepreneurs. They're people like Liu Tranzhe, founder of Lenovo, one of the world's biggest computer companies. Guo Guangchang, who's been described as China's answer to Warren Buffett. And billionaire Huang Nubo, who's made a fortune from real estate and leisure. In this programme, we'll learn about their stories, how together they're shaping a new business culture here in China, and find out about their audacious dreams for the future. These are some of China's top entrepreneurs. They came together in 2006 to help learn from each other's businesses and have a much stronger collective voice here in China.
我会把每一个人想象成为一个独立的蜡烛。每进入一个独立的蜡烛的时候，我要把我们整体的这个很大的蜡烛重新的融化，来拥抱和吸纳这个新的个体。
The companies run by the China Entrepreneur Club's members turn over hundreds of billions of dollars every year, representing a significant part of China's private business sector. Since the club's launch nearly a decade ago, the members have travelled the world together as ambassadors for Chinese business. And they hold huge events at home, like this one in Nanning in southern China. On the stage, a parade of business leaders and billionaires like Jack Ma of e-commerce giant Alibaba, all members of the CEC.
Well, I think it's an honor just to be included in this organization. And not to mention, we can have a lot of opportunities to exchange ideas. So it's a very valuable organization for us.
So how did it all begin? Liu Donghua used to publish a magazine aimed at entrepreneurs. He was urged by his readers to launch the club.
这些相互了解、相互信任的一些企业家聚到一起之后，他们能够把内心深处的话，是吧？就是有些不方便对外人说的那些话，都会彼此这个直截了当的说出来。
当然也有，在大家遇到困难的时候呢，会有一个学习和交流的机会。
Despite the vast wealth of some of its members, the club's offices are discreet. Now, if I was in the West, you'd expect a very lavish head office, great service, and very grand surroundings. But the reality here is really different. There's people here researching the entrepreneur's agenda. There's a group of people here organising visits between the different members. And over here, international trips for the members to go on together. On stage at the CEC conference, I asked how a club like this could possibly work. After all, aren't business leaders incredibly competitive people?
If you really look at the members of this group, we actually don't have members that are competing with each other. We're in different industry, right? We like to learn from each other.
I think it's a good design because the member is from each of industry and also is a leader of that industry. Especially most of the member is, many of them is a first generation founder of business.
We limit the numbers of all the members that join CEC, right? Because if you have too many members in this group, you cannot closely get connected and then know each other very well. If you cannot know each other very well, then you cannot help each other very well. And you cannot trust each other very well.
CEC, I think, as a sort of a learning platform, every of us can learn from each other and also sort of make impact to the society as well.
And that's another of the club's key goals, to promote the idea of entrepreneurship in China more widely.
因为整个社会充满了对企业家的误读、误解和误伤，而当大家理解了他们做的事情，他们在俱乐部得到的不仅仅是对自己的企业的价值，他还在为整个的企业家群体，乃至于在为整个的这个社会、整个的时代也在创造价值的时候，他们觉得在这个地方多付出一些是非常值得的。
Liu Donghua says one key reason why he founded the club in the first place was to help put the business community in a better light. The reasons why the private business sector has a sometimes uncertain reputation in China, even today, lie in the country's past. For decades from the late 1950s, under communist leader Mao Zedong, industry and commerce were controlled by the state. The private sector almost completely vanished. And this caused problems for Deng Xiaoping. He took over as Chinese leader in the late 1970s. He wanted to liberalise the economy, but a generation had grown up without any experience of business. So Deng Xiaoping decided to begin the task in the south of the country, where there had been a long tradition of trade. "35 years ago, a special economic zone was set up here in Shenzhen as a place where business could flourish. This was the trigger for China's modern boom. Deng Xiaoping, the architect of modern China, is commemorated at the top of this hill. Wow. Yes, look at this. This is just incredible. For me, Shenzhen is the one place that symbolises the whole of China. It's so modern. As you can see, there are cranes still on many of the buildings. It's still building and it's still growing. This is a very, very special Chinese city. Deng Xiaoping is believed to have said in 1961 that he didn't care if a cat was black or white, as long as it caught mice. His focus is on the result and not sticking rigidly to one ideology. Ni hao, Dao Shang hao. Hang Gao Sing Ren Shani. We do a selfie. The next CEO of China. Meeting basic needs was a powerful motive for many of the first entrepreneurs. Guo Guanchang rose from a humble background to become a billionaire and a member of the China Entrepreneur Club.
其实一开始做的时候，其实当然希望把公司做好，但第一个想法其实说把自己先养活吧，然后把能够有钱去支持我父母，让他们生活得更好一点。因为我来自浙江的农村，所以就是说家里条件也蛮困难的。那么我们是一开始做了很多事情，就是说比如什么火焰蜡烛啊，有很多的这个 business 去做，然后逐渐在这过程当中找到了一些我们能做的业务。
Escaping poverty or the troubles of the past were powerful inspirations for these pioneer company founders. But some had other motives too. They wanted to take control over their own lives, like CEC chairman Liu Tranjie, the founder of computer giant Lenovo.
当时中国人常年受的教育就是要听共产党的话，而且明确说要做共产党的驯服工具啊，这是在当时常年来我这个年岁的人受的教育。
Liu Tranjie began his career here at the Chinese Academy of Sciences. But as a young researcher, he felt stifled and frustrated by the system.
当时我遇到的困惑呢，是 在科学院里边做出了一个科技成果以后，就摆放在一边儿，然后再做一个，永远变不成产品啊，变不成钱，实际上对社会没有什么贡献，啊，这是我当时很大的一个困惑。
Leo Trangier wanted to put his ideas into practice by starting a company. His colleagues thought he was crazy.
但是呢，我就愿意出来办一个。他号召科技人员啊，先说他号召科技人员，这个自己来下海办企业，啊，大部分的这科技人员呢都是害怕的，但是我是非常愿意做这件事情。
Zhu Xinli is another CEC member and chairman of Huaiyan Juice. Like Leo Trangier, he found working in the state sector uninspiring.
因为在中国中国这个社会呢是一个叫官本位的国家，就是大家都愿意去做官的。但是那个时候我放弃这个做官，而且去这个做生意，去叫下海创业。创业的时候，我真的不知道我应该去做什么，什么能够让我去有我的价值更好的去发挥。然后呢，我们的县里的领导呢就介绍了，在我们的县里有一个企业，那是做水果加工、水果罐头的这么一个企业。在那个时候呢，我不知道水果的罐头是怎么制造的，我也不知道这个设备是什么模样，我没有任何的这种经验和技术，我只是想找一个我能够去干的工作，我只是想去创业，我就想无论如何我要去创业，就是这样的想法。
2 decades on, and the firm Mr. Zhu leads is now one of China's biggest companies.
你好，下午好。Oh, Mao, the red book. Yes.
This is a copy of Mao's Red Book, the doctrine that was handed out across China to everybody during the Cultural Revolution.
Order. Order.
No. This was a book that espoused equality and fairness and not making money out of people, but it's actually quite expensive nowadays.
How much?
50. That's it. 50s.
OK 了吧?
Okay. So we've just gone down from 250 to 80. What's your best price? Okay. As you can see, doing business in China is not easy. You have to learn to haggle to get a fair price.
No, too much.
多少钱?
It's too high.
In the little red book, Mao Zedong declared that work is struggle. And certainly the first wave of entrepreneurs faced many challenges when launching their businesses. Leo Trangier said the number one disadvantage his technology company faced was competition from state-owned enterprises who had special privileges.
在当时中国是计划经济，他只给他所允许的这个企业以这个生产批文和进出口的批文，也就是只有这些企业才能进出口元器件。另外，给这些企业以这个价格低廉的外汇。但是像我们这个企业呢，不是他所这个范围，就是他所管理范围内的企业，于是就什么都拿不到。因此，我们就要花比人多很多倍的价钱啊，去这个进口元器件。
The business environment was very challenging at that time. People's thought was still very rigid, and government policies and systems were very, very redundant. To do one thing, even such as a serial number, to install a telephone set is going to take you 3 months. You would have to put a lot of strings, and to pay serial number 3,000 RMB way in advance, you have to wait at least for 3 months to get one telephone set installed.
The social fabric in China had been badly damaged by the violent and chaotic cultural revolution of the 1960s and 70s. Trust between people was sorely lacking. Part of the answer was guanxi. It means connections and building a web of trusted relationships. Outside China, guanxi has an uncertain image. Back on stage in Nanning, I asked CEC members if Westerners were right to think of guanxi as somehow negative or potentially corrupt?
I think it's really not negative. It's a more positive in our kind of relationship. It's more for people learn from each other and helping each other, basically.
So in your mind, there's a business element to Guanxi, but there's a personal element, and that has gone towards friendship and people freely help each other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have a lot of activities, and those activities sometimes put us together, everyone together. So this actually helped us build a very tight relationship. You know, like, for example, Michael and I, you know, once we actually run into the accident when we were in the same car, test drive on the BMW vehicle.
We destroyed, literally, we destroyed the car.
Yeah, we destroyed the vehicle. But the first thing after he got off the car, he said, "Oh, don't worry, I'll take care of it," so I can know what kind of a person he is. So those kind of intimate scenarios, we can definitely know each other very well.
While CEC members are able to offer each other support, others in the broader business community feel less secure. Many entrepreneurs feel their positions to be precarious, and that wider society is still not fully accepting of them.
Chinese people look down upon business people. And there was a very old saying in our culture. It's called 无商不奸. There are no merchants or business people that are not cunning, okay, are not sly. And as a result, I still remember in 1970s, 1980s, and the people, a lot of people, intelligent people, would be feeling ashamed of, becoming a business person.
Successful entrepreneurs in China, they have an image problem. I think the Chinese entrepreneurs need to have more work to be done in the way of charities, to give their wealth back to societies, to change the image.
Can organisations like the China Entrepreneur Club help to create a more positive atmosphere for business?
I think this club is doing something positive for themselves, but whether the rest of society will buy what they say is quite another matter.
CEC members say that one of the main reasons for founding the club in 2006 was to play a key role in promoting a healthy business culture.
我想这个商业正气呢，主要指的就是诚信啊，按守法，同时呢多做公益活动啊等等。所以我们觉得呢，我们有一定规模的民营企业呢，有这样的责任和义务，就是希望让中国的民营企业整个的在这个国家中能够更健康的发展。
Wang Shi is founder of a huge real estate enterprise. He says the most important thing in business is not money, but ethics.
If you only can get a lot of money, but you don't care about what about a thing, right or wrong, you cannot last a long time.
Do the right thing and the money will come.
Yeah.
Chinese entrepreneurs may be proud of their achievements in a country where not long ago there was little in the way of a market economy. They've been part of a huge movement to build a new culture of business across China. But there's more work to be done. The Great Wall is a key symbol of China's history, and I still believe there's a Great Wall to business here in China. For many decades, China was isolated from the rest of the business world. Deng Xiaoping started to bring down the wall to business, and 30 years on, the country's booming. And for this to continue, Chinese business leaders must constantly adapt and build even more bridges to the rest of the world. Some companies are already ahead of the game. Shanghai-based Fosun is now a huge conglomerate with international interests ranging from Club Med to the Chase Manhattan building in New York. But founder Guo Guanchang has had a long struggle to build up the business. He remembers the 1990s as an exciting but very challenging time.
一方面，我们面临着很多的一个机会，因为中国很多事业都是刚刚开始，所以它比较的不是说你原来有什么，而是说比较谁学习的更快。复兴因为学习的更快，所以抓住了中国发展的一些这个机会。那么，但是它带来的一个问题是， 这个从管理的角度来说的话，就是说你怎么样能够在不同的行业的话，你学习的更快，能够把它管理上去。
So how did you overcome the management challenge?
在管理上的话，我觉得就是说主要是2点，一个就是说我们核心团队的本身的这个学习力要提高，因为前面我讲到就是说中国那个时候的话，不是说你拥有什么，其实大家都没有经验，但是就是说看谁学习的更快。第二个的话呢，就是说我们要引进，因为那时候我们非常年轻，我自己才25、6岁嘛，那么我们当时提出来就是引进老师，就是在全球去引进一些这个，那时候你说要引进一个纯老外也很难，所以我们就从香港啊、台湾啊去引进这个行业里面，相对来说他跑在我们前面嘛，我们引进老师，引进这个行业里面做得比我们好的人，向他们学习。
Today, China and its economy are changing. New products, new services mean there's a need for new approaches to business. Some of the old ways have been left behind. Take Guangxi, for example. Eric Yang of online education firm VIP ABC says tech businesses like his can do without it.
We've been very lucky that for the past 15 years we grow the business. We don't really require too much of that kind of guanxi. So that's the beauty of internet. Internet, you get contact with so many people, but you even don't need to know their name, but you still can sell the product to them, give the service to them. That's why we decide to start an internet business from the beginning.
Despite concerns and challenges, there's no doubt that in many places, China is buzzing with energy. Here in Beijing, startup businesses are mushrooming all over the city, and the demand for office space is going through the roof. Here we are in Beijing's equivalent of Silicon Valley, on the street with the famous Dark Horse Club. The Dark Horse Club was founded by Wen Wen, the founder of Founders magazine. His dream was to promote entrepreneurship and build superhuman entrepreneurs. And next door is another really interesting place. Garage Cafe is a place where would-be entrepreneurs and investors can meet and build companies together.
Nowadays, our startups have to think about some new ideas, some ideas that is much more customized to the situation in China. Some companies, the startups, can have great ideas, and maybe someday we can change this society.
Do you think your company can do well and you can become billionaires? Is that why you do it?
We don't have to be billionaires in the future. We just want to provide some convenience to the people to do something good for the society. We don't have to be billionaires.
I think China is rising up. Times changed. Yes, it's really changed because our government and our society is encouraging us to start business.
What's really struck me is this generation of Chinese don't want to copy. For them, it's very important to do something independent. Perhaps in places like this is where the future Chinese economy will be created.
它是特殊环境生长出来的，在西方的企业家没有政府调控这么一说，没有国进民退这么一说，在中国的民营企业家就活得很艰难，他需要跟大量的市场的不确定性来斗争，所以这条中国的企业家的生存能力，对市场的变化的适应能力，我认为是要超过的西方企业家。
In just a few decades, in a remarkable act of innovation, pioneers like the members of the China Entrepreneur Club have helped to recreate a booming business culture here. This part of the Great Chinese Wall represents the journey of the entrepreneur. At the bottom, Deng Xiaoping opens up the Chinese market. The Chinese entrepreneurs have to work out how to create a new way forward and create new businesses. After 20 years, the better ones have succeeded. They know how to grow their businesses in China, but not yet to go over the wall to the West and build great global businesses. The question for the next decade is, can we build truly global companies? Neither Chinese nor Western companies have all the answers yet.